Welcome to the first episode of Green Crew. My name is Lucas Aimo.
And I am Anna Kasperska. Green Crew is a podcast in which we talk to filmmakers that care about the environment and decided that the film industry needs to change and become more eco-friendly. And they are actually doing something about it.
In this episode, we'll be talking to Tomek Morawski. He's an awarded Polish film producer who has worked on feature films, documentaries, commercials, and video clips. He's the founder of Films, a Polish film production company. In recent years, he decided to make a switch to eco-productions and to come up with green solutions for the filmmaking process.
Tomek told us about his background, why he decided to go green, and how he implements eco-solutions to the film production process. So let's jump right into the conversation.
Tomek, when did you decide that you wanted to work in the filmmaking industry, and how has it been so far?
I think that the first time when I thought about doing movies was when my best friend came to me and he told me, I think he was like 15 or 14 years old, and he told me that he's a camera operator at some kind of school activities. And I thought it's really cool, but I had this background in my house. My father is an actor, so I've been somehow in the industry from forever. But then I thought that being an actor is not the thing that I would like to do. I tried it, but it never worked for me. And I always wanted to be somehow involved in the process. Somehow it just happened because I was trying to being involved in video clips, in small commercials. And from one day to the other, someone came and told me, why don't you join us in our crew and see what we are doing? And that was actually the movie for Zanussi. And that was my first experience, which I had. I was like 7th or 20th assistant, but it was really cool. I did really like it. And then I thought that maybe this is the thing that I would like to do. So I've been studying economy, but in the same time I decided to study production management, but I didn't finish production management. It was somehow too difficult for me to be at the economy in Warsaw and at the production management in Katowice at the same time. So I decided to go with economy in Warsaw. Why? Because I wanted to be absolutely aware of how I can work with the money and then put it into the production. And at the end, well, what can I say? It doesn't really give me this much of knowledge for the production side of the whole thing, which we are doing right now during the daily process of the production. But it was a great experience. It was experience from a different point of view, kind of similar things, but not really the same. So then I decided to open a company with my friend. We've been running this company for over 10 years, focused on the really small TV shows and small commercials. That was the moment in which internet became to be more and more interesting for the commercial agencies in case of having the virals and stuff like this. And as we were really young and new on the market, so it was kind of a chance for us. But it came out really fast that it doesn't really work this way at the commercial market, and you have to have a really big background of number of commercials to become a commercial producer. And then I decided to quit from the company, went for a little bit of a time, and I've been working for another company. Didn't really like it. I couldn't really find myself in it. I decided again to start my own company. That was the time after which I did produce as a production manager first feature film, Małe Stłuczki, and I really like it. This is kind of the thing that made me feel somehow fresh. Total breakthrough was the moment in which I did produce the video clip for Radiohead. And that was the moment in which I've decided, okay, commercial market is absolutely amazing, but I'm not as strong as I could be on it, and I don't have enough background to be a good partner for the agencies. And I really like the future film and the series market because I have this kind of a feeling that I produce something that is staying for a longer time than only 30 seconds in the TV. And this made me somehow find my way in the whole thing. So I decided that this is the way which I want to do. And that was the moment in which it really expanded and it exploded with number of scripts which I received, which I could read. And because I didn't have any experience as a producer. So I decided to start as a production manager and to combine production management with the line producing or executive producing. And that was the basic idea, how to find the way, which position is most suitable for me. Right now, I'm in a moment in which I know that producing is the position which I like, but switching from being a production manager or even the line producer into the producer, it takes really a long time because you have to close number of the projects and start the new projects, and 24-hour per day is way too less to actually be able to do both of those things. So it is a process. It is a process in which I am right now, and it's going good. Right now, I'm producing quite a big series. So it's happening. It's really happening.
Happy to hear it. Could you tell us exactly what's the difference between a line producer and a production manager?
Yes. So the basic thing would be like this, that it depends on the budget. There is number of the productions in which those two positions will be somehow combined. And it really depends also on personal relation with the producer. But the basic thing, the production manager is a person who's responsible for the budget, and he's somehow creating process of how is it going. And the line producer is the one who is also much more responsible for the whole outcome of the movie, and he's responsible for the budget himself. So all of the decision that should be done, saying like, let's cut this scene because we don't have enough money for this. This is the line producer's part of the job. But let's be honest, it's so fluid. It's like floating from one position to the other, because sometimes when it's really crucial scene, then it won't be a decision from the line producer. It will be a producer's decision at the end, because this is part of the value of the whole thing. In general, the idea of the line producer is from the budgeting, that we have above the line and below the line. And someone who's joining both of those words is line producer. So he's like getting all of the information from the talents and passing them to the production manager and the rest of the team. So it's kind of important thing that in Polish system, it was never like said that this means line producing. So it's floating, but that is everywhere. Right, today we have creatives, we have showrunners. There's so many positions that it really depends on the company. It really depends on how big the project is. I've been in the projects in which we've been doing the whole project from the production point of view. There was only 3 of us. Right now, I have the project in which there is 16 people only in the production.
Oh, wow.
So it's really huge. And I can say that if we would have 2 more, then it maybe would be a little bit easier.
Wow, it's like a crew for a small production, 16 people. You could make like
A whole movie.
Exactly, that's true. So everything depends on the script, on the size of the project, and it depends on the conditions. Where do you shoot? What is the general idea? How can you execute the script? We're shooting right now in the mountains, so we have number of different departments which are being added to like the main crew. We have the high mountain department, we have the alpinistic department. You know, those are like totally different departments. They're not under the stunt department because it would be too huge, and we had to divide them. So when you divide departments, then you have to have extra people who will take care of them, and so on, so on. We have extra transportation department because there's number of transport which has to be done in 4x4. Actually, in this production, there is one girl who's taking care of both of those transport issues, but there are the days in which I can see that she could have like someone who could help her. really depends on the project.
Could you tell us what's the reason behind your decision of becoming a producer that wants to produce movies in a green way?
It's kind of personal. In general, the whole idea of the green production started in one room sitting at one of the projects. We just said like, we can probably do something to not produce as much trash, as much waste as we do. And what can we do? And what do we do with all of the things that we're buying? What do we do with the clothes? What do we do with the scenography? It was kind of a question that came out that maybe we could reuse it somehow. And it came out from, if I remember this correctly, it came out because we didn't have really big budget. So we were looking for the savings. And that was the beginning of the thinking about it. And then we realized that actually on the daily basis, we are losing money on printing number of call sheets every day, on doing number of the things that we wouldn't have to do, and we would save money. And to be honest, that was the background. We were looking for the savings. And then the next step, we realized that it might be even better because this is not only saving for us, but we can give all of those clothes, which we don't gonna use anymore, to someone who might need them, and they will not rotten in someone's garage or, you know, being destroyed and thrown away. So that was the moment in which we started thinking that there's much more that we can do. And on another project, we have produced over, I think, 20 tables, and we came up again with the question, what can we do with them? Are we gonna destroy them? Are we gonna burn them? I mean, what is the idea? And then the producer, Claudia Schmeyer, came up with an idea. So let's give them away to some charity. Okay, that's a great idea. Let's give it as much as possible to them if they're going to need it. And that was the beginning of the whole small movement, in which at the end, we figure out that we can do much more, even getting rid of the plastic. So that was kind of funny beginning, because it all started with the money. Then it turned into the position that we can actually do more. And it doesn't have to be money. It can be even like the way of thinking. And that was really kind of strange moment, because on another production, it took us really, really long time to organize the meeting. What can we do to be more green? What can we change? It took us, I think, 2 months. We've been getting back to this case every week. Guys, let's sit and let's think about the green filming. What can we do? Then after those 2 months, we finally got 1 hour, which was really hard. We went through a number of ideas and we implemented them. We were absolutely scared and that was the thing which we realized, that we personally were scared that the crew will not accept our ideas to change the way the set was organized. It wasn't a big change, but it was a change. It was a change which in our eyes could somehow destabilize the whole production. So we came out with this idea that someone is forcing us to do this, and it was as stupid as you can hear. But at the beginning, that was our explanation, that we have some kind of an actors on the set who are demanding this. Because we were absolutely scared to bring it on board. And it was totally big step for us. And then when we saw that the reaction of the crew is absolutely amazing, it was kind of a reaction like, finally, someone done it. Finally, you're trying to do something with the trash. You're trying to segregate it. You're not printing as much paper because nobody needs this. You're not printing scripts as no one asked for this. It was this kind of moment in which we were like, wow. So it is not the way we thought. How stupid we were. We were putting our fears on the crew. They will not accept our idea.
Yeah.
That was really big thing from our point of view. We even asked catering to use the porcelain on the set, to do not use a plastic. And the first thing we heard was kind of shocking, because they told us, no, we're not going to do this because people are stealing. And it was like, wow, where are we? If the crew, which, let's be honest, the daily rates are quite high when you look at the month rate for the person who's working in the shop or something like this. So we're like, this is not possible. Let's tell them if they're going to lose something, we're going to buy it back to them. And at the end, it happened that they had more than at the beginning. Some people probably had their own forks or spoons and they just left it in the catering. So it was kind of shocking for them too. And then they decided to put dishwasher on the catering bus. And that was also kind of a new thing, because due to the old restrictions are not up to date. And I know that they are doing this a little bit illegally, that they have this dishwasher on the car, but I think they managed somehow to make it legal at the end. So it was kind of a thing for them too, to come up with a new idea. We were younger and we wanted to change something. And really beautiful thing which happened on the same set, it was the set of Double Trouble, a children's movie. On one day we had 300 extras on the set, something like this, and we decided to try something new. So we told them that, guys, there is a big bottle of water, you won't get the small plastic bottles. There is number of cups, there is a pen, you can write down your name on the cup, and please reuse it as many times as possible. And there was 300 people who started clapping and saying, this is the way we want to work. So it gave us absolutely huge courage to change a number of things. But then with the next projects, with the next days, it came out that this is not as easy as we thought. It was kind of a special thing because it was a number of people who wanted to change something. Then as the projects goes, people go to different projects and are looking for and trying to spread this information. But not every producer, not everyone is trying to go with the same idea. So I can even say that I failed a couple of times and I'm still failing in some of the projects. And in the same time, it's quite a good thing because the world around us is changing. So right now we do have plastic bottles on the set, but due to the regulations which were done, those plastic bottles must be recyclable. I'm like 7 years later and we are using something that is plastic, but it is in the same time, it can be reused. It's really hard to find the best solution today. And I'm absolutely happy that it is changing. I spoke with the catering because they were giving us food in a plastic and I asked them, guys, why is it in plastic? Why is it not a paper? They told me, this is not plastic. This is from the corn. It looks like a plastic. It is kind of a thing which is shocking you right now because you cannot really judge if it's plastic or if it's corn. And the good thing is that actually they are thinking about it. We have the catering, which is not using a small plastic bottles. But what happened? We are shooting in the mountains, so we couldn't equip everyone in something heavy. We had to buy a bottle which is light. So then you are forced into some of the situations on the set in which you have to, unfortunately, decide on the both sides how far you can push. It's incredible, but the most incredible thing is that we are still thinking about it, and that I can tell this with 100% that bigger budget you have, usually it means that you are doing somehow more harm to the nature, unfortunately. Because bigger budget usually means that you will do more. On the last production which we had, there was like number of scenes with animals. It wasn't a big budget, but still we could probably do much more in case of the green filming, but we would need to have one extra person who could actually help us. Someone who would just focus on the green issues. So this is kind of a new thing because in the whole process, the bigger production you do, then you are somehow losing those small things which you could implement into the whole thing. If your co-workers are not in with a green filming idea, then you might lose it. With the team with which I'm working right now, we've been in those green filming ideas from over 7 years. It's not a new thing for us. It's a normal thing right now. And we are still trying to look for some new things that we can introduce into the budgets or into the daily life on the set, because we have actually got in the moment in which somehow we reached our maximum in our heads. And that's kind of a strange moment, because that's a moment in which you have to again push yourself and try to think, what else can we do? And again, it requires the same situation as we had those 7 years ago when we had to finally find this hour in which we sat down and talked, where is the green filming and what can we do with it? So right now, there are a number of ideas. There are like ideas of how to push crew to use the bikes, or how to even, like you have some of the crew members who are getting extra money for using the cars because they have to buy petrol, etc. So I came up with an idea. So let's give some money to the people who will use bikes, and so they can repair them or buy some parts or anything like this. Well, I didn't push that through, but I'm gonna try again with the next budget. And there's a number of things that you can actually try to introduce. Of course, it came out at the end that green filming during the winter is like 20% of the things that you can do during the summertime. Unfortunately, you will use much more petrol, you will use much more equipment during the winter, and you will produce, unfortunately, more waste during the winter. It is just because it's cold. But in the same time, you don't have to use salt. You can use something which is biodegradable on the set. So there are solutions which are not really much more expensive, but they are on a good path with surrounding, with the nature. That's the decisions that we have to do on the daily basis. It's hard, but no one said it's going to be easy. I think one of the biggest issues are the jennies and how they produce energy. Because let's be honest, the jenny gets on some level and it's still, using the petrol, even if you don't need as much energy as it gives to you. Yes. But it will use amount of the petrol per hour, It would be absolutely great to have jenny which would have the batteries, load the batteries. We would use the energy from the batteries. If the level of the batteries would go down, then it would start again and reuse it. But there is no such a thing on the market right now.
Not for film lights, not for the size of film lights, that's for sure.
Unfortunately, that's true. But guys, it's always the thing that we as producers, we as production managers, we as a whole crew, we have an influence on the whole thing. And with this series which we're doing right now,
What's the name of the series?
Detective Force for Netflix. At the beginning, we have read the script, and there was a number of things which were environmentally unfriendly. So, and that was the moment in which I spoke with the director, with the DOP, that, okay, let's find out the way how we're gonna do this. I cannot say exactly what we've changed, but it wasn't really a long conversation, but there was a conversation in which I have highlighted my needs to find out the way how we can lower CO2 emissions that we're going to produce, and how can we change the script to go down with the emission and with carbon footprint, how to lever it down. And at the end, we found that the solutions. We're using a lot of LED lights. Most of the lighting is somehow being done in the scenography. We're not adding really a lot of an extra light. We are doing it on really low key of the light. So it came out at the end that we are somehow involving and getting into the creative level of the whole production. And the outcome, which I can see on a daily basis right now, is absolutely beautiful. So you can start thinking about green filming at the level of the script. It's not at the level of the production. And that's a new thing from my perspective, that actually that's the first time in my career in which I could think about green filming on the level of the script. And we actually cut a number of things down, and we cut them out from the script to make it more green. And it's still great. And it's gonna be great. It's gonna be a great series. Really.
It's another element that is very creative in the process of production, this green approach. It's a challenge, but also it's another level of being creative, trying to apply as much as possible.
Yeah, exactly. And it shows that actually everyone on every position can have an impact. Absolutely everyone. So even the producer, the screenwriter, or the DOP, or the director, absolutely everyone can have the impact on the green filming. But it's usually, what I can see many times, it's kind of an idea that you have to introduce, and the way you will set up the set, if it's going to be set up with the green filming ideas, then it will somehow influence the crew which have not been thinking about it. This is really a great thing. The thing that we've done at this production, we had to go up into the mountains with the crew, but on the way down we've been collect trash that we've been finding on the way down or on the way up. So actually maybe not 100%, but I feel that we've done something good for the nature, being a film crew in the mountains.
Yes. Cleaning the mountain.
I'm absolutely happy from my scenography team. They are trying every time, and at the end it even adds the money. Every time they can do, they are asking the location if they need to repaint the location to the previous color, if they can leave some of the scenography which they've done so they can use it. Right now, 27 shooting days, we didn't have to remove anything from the location where we've been shooting. Everyone was absolutely happy with the way we've done it. It cost us more at the level of preparing it, because if you paint the wall, then you have to really paint it, not think that you're painting it for a second. But then we do not do anything at the end, and Excel looks better. You know, we don't have to have people who are repainting this or taking away part of the scenography. Everyone is happy, and I'm happy as a producer too. We're not producing as much as we could.
And saving money at the same time.
And saving money at the same time, which is not very common, but it can be. It can be done.
Tomek, you've been part of productions that involve animals, most recently EO from Skolimowski. What are the rules of engagement animals on set in European productions, Polish productions? And like also what's the ecological impact of animals on the set?
So first of all, we were supposed to be introduced to some new rules how we should work with animals on set. There was this kind of idea which was supposed to be introduced. It was never introduced at the end. The regulations which we have are, let's say, not very strict. Maybe let's name it like this. In general, as long as you work with animals and you do not harm them, then it's okay. But you don't have anything like working hours. You don't have anything like what you really have to bring or what you have to secure on set to have animals on set. In general, at the end, it is just the knowledge which you are gathering from the animal wrangler. That's the general knowledge, and some security BHP, which we would translate into English as safety measurements, which you have to do, meaning that if you have horse on the set, you have to provide the water for them. If you are bringing the horse on set, then you would have to have a place in which the horse can stay during the night if you're using the horse for the next night. If you are bringing the horse on the set and the horse has to have all of the papers, it has to have the passport. If the horse doesn't have a passport, then it's not insured. If you have a horse on set, then it has to have the number of vaccinations, so he can be in the same place where the other horses are, or you have to isolate the horse from the others. But all of this knowledge is actually the knowledge that you're gathering from the animal wranglers. There is no open catalog of this kind of knowledge. In some of the scripts, you can read like really some ideas which are out of space. Then, of course, you might ask the animal wrangler if this is possible, and if this is a reasonable person, then he or she will tell you it can be done or it cannot be done because it will harm an animal at the end. I think that the most important thing in this part of the production is personal approach from the production side, from the director, and from the animal wrangler. If you are asking to bring the animals on the set and the dog, the cow, the horse, even the mouse has to travel 1,000 kilometers to get on the set, then let's think if it's worth it. Because at the end, you will bring the animal on set, it will be so tired that it will not do the thing that you would like to, and no one's going to be happy at the end. And you intentionally took an animal and actually gave this pure animal 2,000 kilometers driveway both ways. Sometimes it doesn't really make sense. We have the movie in which we've read the script and we knew that it won't be possible to be done by the animal. Besides the fact that those animals can grab a person and swing it away, but it will not be safe for an actor, it will not be safe for an animal. So, of course, VFX is coming here as a big help because it's getting better and better. Because let's be honest, 5 years ago, 7 years ago, 10 years ago, VFX was not on such a high level. I mean, no, it's not true. It was on a high level, but it was super turbo expensive. Actually, today, it's still expensive, but it's more affordable. So more and more production can use the artificial animals and to have them on the set, or somehow to came up with an idea what's needed to be done on the set and how, so then we will be able to create the best looking possible animal in the computer with the VFX. This is a change which is happening during last year, so we are kind of a new era when we can actually think more and more due to the scripts that we're receiving, that maybe we can create more and more animals in the VFX. But of course, it still will be very, very costful. And I don't know if a lot of production will be able to do it. But let's be honest, there are animals and animals. I mean, if you think about the dogs, which are much more capable of working with the people and they do like it, then it's way easier. I had this privilege to work with the guy who is absolutely dog lover. He's spending most of his time on his connection with his dog, and his dog can do absolutely anything. I mean, he can fix the positions, he can fix the way where he looks, he can fix the timing. It's absolutely amazing. This dog is like a machine. And as you look at it, it looks like that he's enjoying it. But it's like, let's be honest, it's one of the thousands that can actually do this. The most important thing working with animals is to listen to the animal wrangler wrangler and actually accept that having an animal on the set will mean probably overtime or not having everything that we have in our minds to be placed on the screen at the end. This is animal. It's like a small child. They will do all the things the way they want to do it, not as we want them to do the acting. They are not actors. They don't understand things that we are expecting from them. It's really hard to work with them, and it really requires a lot of respect and listening. And the worst thing which I could imagine, but I didn't really hear from a longer time that it is happening, that someone is coming on the set and using a force or beating an animal to actually execute anything that someone wants the animal to do. This is kind of a big change, and I think it's a change also which is coming from the last years. The awareness of having an animal, of working with an animal is much higher. It's the same thing with the circuses. When you go to the circus, you probably won't see animals there anymore. So it is changing, and it is changing thanks to us. And having an animal on the set, it is really one of those things which you don't want to have, because it's always pain, and you will never know what it means for you as a production manager, as a line, or as a producer at the end in the budget, because it might just not work. We had those donkeys on the set, and the animal wrangler told us that we need to have 2 on a daily basis. We asked why. The answer was absolutely amazing, because the lady told us that both of the donkeys are in love. So if we want one of the donkeys to be moving from point A to B, then at the point B we have to put the second donkey, and the donkey will just walk to the other one, because they're in love and they just want to be together. As easy as nothing else. And it did work. Of course, not every time, but it did work. The carrots on the stick was actually sometimes much better way of navigating the look.
So you actually use carrots and sticks?
Yes.
I know that you have a number of donkeys there.
We had a number of donkeys, and one of the cases was actually the transport, because we've been shooting around Poland. We've been trying to lower the number of the hours in the car for the donkeys. That was one of the reasons. The other reason was that we needed some of the donkeys to have the rest time, but it was mostly done by the animal wrangler. So they took the care of the animals, and they done it really well. But if you're asking me personally, I do believe that we shouldn't use animals on set. That's kind of an outcome which I have after this project. I would like to have as low number of animals on set as possible. Sometimes it's a thing which is uplifting the whole scene, or you have them in the script. But in another project which I'm doing right now, we are 100% producing an animal in the computer. So I think this is the way we should actually approach most of the scenes with an animal, and that would be the way I would like to work at the end with animals. I don't want to have them on set. Like, let's be honest, let's put someone who's never been on the set around 100 people of crew. He will get scared. He will not know what to do. The same thing happens with an animal. When you have like a young animal which is coming on the set, he might be scared because of anything. There's no real need. It's not worth it, in my opinion. Let's not do this as long as we can. Let's talk about it on the script level. If we need to have 100 cows on the set, maybe we can go and film them in the natural location.
Yeah.
That was actually the thing that we've been trying to do quite a lot with Skolimowski, that we've been going to the locations where actually animals were, to do not transport them, and using the real location for the movie. Not every time everyone was happy about it, because you cannot change a lot, but in case of the whole situation, it was much better. And this is also the solution that you can do. In this movie, we've been filming ships, and no one is asking to move ships into the position. We are just following them. There was another unit, the whole shooting day, they were following the ships and trying to catch the things that we wanted to have. This is another way you can film the animals, just to follow them.
It reminds me of an anecdote from a Bela Tar movie from Satan Tango, that they were shooting a group of cows going through the village, and they were shooting this group of cows for like 19 days because they couldn't get the cows to do exactly what they wanted the cows to do, and they couldn't force them really, so they just had to wait for like 19 days until they got the shot exactly, and it's one continuous shot of
National
the cows.
Geographic.
It should be the way of the National Geographic, actually. It should work like this. That would be the best way. I have to tell you one thing. It's kind of an anecdote. First time I had a horse on the set, set. It was kind of a really, really big day. Okay, so there was like 300 people, extra equipment, really very, very costful day. We had this production meeting. Everyone came into the room, huge meeting, big meeting. And my first question was, is there water for the horse? And it was the most important thing in my head for this day. And when they told me that there will be water for the horse, everything else was kind of easy. And actually at this project, we had one day with the horses, and this was beautiful because the team just came to me and they told me there is a water for the horse. And that was the first communicate which I got.
They know.
They know you.
Yes, they know.
So, for example, like to work with horses, with dogs, it's probably very different than working with donkeys. So, would you work still in a production that would involve horses or dogs?
It's kind of a script level, because if on the script level, and not only a script, it's also the way what is the director's approach, what is the DOP approach to work with the animals. And if it's a small short scene and we can secure everything for the animal, then yes, I can think that this could be still something that could happen on my set. But if this would be the movie in which every day we would need to require the same animal, then I think it's not me anymore. You know, it was a long journey with the donkeys. I know that we haven't harmed them at the end, that they are okay, that they are still enjoying their life. But I have this kind of a feeling inside my heart that this was also in the same time the movie about what do we do with an animals. And actually we couldn't done this movie without the animals. So it was a situation in which you are trying to say something good, but you have to use the tools which you don't want to use to say this thing. And there is no other tool which could actually be as effective as, unfortunately, going and doing this movie with the donkey. Just have to say that, and this is kind of a change which came during the shooting period. So at the beginning, when I've been reading the script, it was kind of script which I looked at it and it was a challenge. I thought it's like, wow, it's going to be something really new. It's going to be fresh. There is a strong message. So let's come up with an idea how to sell and how to help the director to sell this message. And then during the production period, it was just changing in my mind that, okay, we are having this message, we're doing it. The cost isn't, I don't want this to sound like something happened, because it didn't. There was a number of productions with dogs involved in which the dogs were being killed during the production. And it was kind of a biggest nightmare if something would happen to those donkeys. Fortunately, it didn't, but this is not the way they should be used. I mean, they should be free. This is kind of an outcome which I have at the end, that if I would not do this movie, well, maybe the awareness of the message of the movie wouldn't be so high, because the movie is being watched all over the world and it is changing something in people. But I hope it will be this movie which will do it, and we will not have to produce anymore, bring the same topic into the world. That's kind of the fingers crossed for this.
Certainly changed your point of view and affected you in a deep manner.
Yes, it did. It did, absolutely. In the scripts on which we are working right now, there were much more scenes involving animals, and they were cut off by me. I asked to change them. And I'm absolutely grateful that I can have this kind of influence on the script level. So it is a change. I think this movie will influence my way of working for the rest of my life, and probably not only my way, but probably the way of the team which was working on it, because they have much more awareness of how and if we do need animals on set. It is a big difference, and I hope it will change around the whole world.
Yeah.
Hope so too.
Yeah.
The last sentence you used, it's a very good sentence to finish this conversation.
Yeah, but actually I wanted to ask one more question.
But Anna has one more question.
Yeah.
Okay. First question. You mentioned several techniques how to make a production more green, what you managed to implement in the production process. So I would like to ask you, what's the next challenge?
Actually, can I add something?
Yes.
So actually, to tell us first the things that you implemented so far, and then the things that you would like to implement.
Okay, so from the things that I would like to implement, which are happening also in the same time, which is really great. So one of those things is that we are using much more LED lights than before. And it's also thanks to the rentals, which did quite a big investment into the LED lights. We're using like 1/3 of the fuel that we've been using earlier. So it's big impact at the end. The other thing is that with the new cameras, which are on the market, we can use less lights. If you have a DOP who can actually think how to come up with the visual way of not using as much light on the set as he could, it's also the way how you can create the world. It requires talking and communication before getting into the shooting period. In many of those things, it's just going to require talking about it. Another thing which is happening is that I am trying to somehow put my foot into the script where I can see things which are going to create big carbon footprints and trying to change them. And it is happening. I think that's one of the biggest changes that you can do right now, to actually do this on the script level. And it's really important. Another thing which we are doing more and more, we are trying to hire more and more local crew. And it's also possible because there is much more and more well-educated professionals in whole Poland, not only Warsaw, which became to be kind of a hub for the production. But right now you have really a lot of professionals in every part of Poland. And when you travel from place to place, you can do it. Another thing is that we are using much more trains for the transport that we've done before. And it is happening, which is really good. Another thing that I would love to have, I would love to start using electric cars on the set. I know that at the end in Poland, electric means that it's a coal, like electricity comes from the coal. But in the same time, when I'm listening to this, that there are the days during the summer when there is such a big production from the sun panels, it actually brings the energy back to the power plants. So at the end, I think that it might be possible to use it. We've done one thing. We have invested some money into the production office bus, which has the solar panels at the top. So we're also trying to use this as much as possible. In winter, unfortunately, it's not as effective as it can be in the other parts. We are constantly talking with the catering to use the local food, and they do. They do not travel food from around Poland. They are trying as much as possible from the local suppliers. And the thing which I wanted to introduce, and I hope it's going to work, we are going to try, because I cannot say that we are doing it, because it's again one of the big steps for me. We want to actually have the full knowledge of the carbon footprint that we will produce, and we wanted to get some kind of a cooperation with one of the foundation which is planting the trees. And we would like to plant as many trees so we can reduce the footprint. And this is one of the positions in the budget that I have introduced. And I think it's going to work. I really think it's going to work. We want to make a software for the phones so we could totally get rid of printing daily schedules and this kind of stuff. It's not a lot. We have around 100 people on set today, and we're printing 10 schedules for today. It's huge impact that we done during a couple of those days. And actually, we are going to try to print only 4 in next month, maybe. We'll see how it works. Yeah. But in the same time, we have this kind of great situation in which if someone will need it, then we have the printer on the set so we can print it. We are somehow safe, in this situation. But let's be honest, there are some people who still need to have this on paper because it's faster. And I do understand this. At the end, if I will print 10 pages, and we will not go into over hour, and if we will not use extra 30 liters of petrol because getting into the over hour, it's going to be better to print those 10 pages. Yes. So you have to think about it in the way what's more ecologic, but in the end it has those two ends, and you just have to find a balance. So those are the things which I believe that are possible to be done. I would love to find a way. I even spoke with my friend about how to change the Jennies to somehow, change the way they work. But it came out, it's so expensive today that maybe it will be something that might be introduced in next years. But I hope it will change too. As I can hear, there is a number of ideas on the market to create the warehouses for the used clothes and for the warehouses for the scenography. So there's a number of things which are happening around us from which we will be able to actually profit at the end and reuse the things that we've done. So the good thing is that this is not only me or us. The movement is much wider than we can actually think, and that's the best thing. And actually, the other thing that we also are trying is that we asked Polish Film Institute to actually accept number of the green filming costs as eligible costs, and it looks that we are going on a good path, and next year's it's going to be eligible. So the change is big. It's really big change, and it's a really big change thanks to everyone who's using the time to do this.
Yeah, it's going not from the system, but it's going from people, and people wants to change it.
The roots.
And from the local organizations, from the local funds. Actually, this is one of the strongest green filming group which is pushing a lot of ideas, and they are constantly working on it. It's beautiful that, I don't feel that we started green filming, because we didn't. We have not invented the green filming. I know that we somehow started talking about it loud, but I do believe that in the same time, there was a number of people who started talking about green filming loud. And so in general, that's everyone's success at the end. And let's keep it this way. Let's try to be more and more green. I don't know if it's going to be possible to be 100% green with every film production. I don't think so, but we can try at least to be as green as possible.
Thank you so much for conversation and for such a complex view over your work, your green approach towards film production.
Yeah, thanks Tomek for meeting with us and sharing all your knowledge and spreading the word and doing the work that you do, man. It's really cool.
Thank you. Bye-bye.